Hey folks, how's it going? I'm just sitting here in my local conservation area and I've been waiting for a little while for a whole bunch of sirens to quiet down. I don't know what's going on, but somewhere not too far in the neighborhood, there's a lot of emergency vehicles congregating. So today I want to show you some video that I took last weekend when I was at the Queen Elizabeth II Wildlands backpacking, trying to find a camping spot. Next weekend, which is Easter long weekend, some friends and I are thinking of going out. So far the forecast is not looking good. Rain during the day and below freezing at night does not make for a fun trip, and a couple of my friends who are going are brand new to backpacking, so I want them to have an enjoyable time. I don't want them to be miserable for 4 days. So that trip may not happen next weekend, but if it doesn't, we'll just go out some other time. Yeah, so I filmed some videos last weekend while I was out backpacking and alluded to that in the last video that I posted just on Friday morning. It took overnight for it to upload. I also wanted to say, like, trying to find a camping place, whether you're in the backcountry or going car camping these days during this pandemic, has been getting more and more difficult. I was online this morning making reservations for an August car camping trip with my sister and my two nephews, and the park that we wanted to go to was more than 90% booked. So we wanted to stay for 4 nights. We're only getting 3. And it's not in the most ideal spot, but you know what, for car camping you take what you can get because everything is booked solid. I'm not even sure I'm gonna get my my Frontenac trip booked because everything is like selling out as soon as it's released. So for provincial parks in Ontario, you can book 5 months in advance. So, and like I said, the park is more than 90% booked. Queen Elizabeth II Wildlands, however, it's a backcountry park, and it is what they call, is it unorganized? I think that's the term that they use, which means there's no camping fees for there. It's like camping on Crown land or public lands in the US. So you just go in, and there are designated camping spots in Queen Elizabeth II, though. You can't just put your tent anywhere. And the rangers do occasionally go into the park to make sure that you are in a designated camping spot. So we have to play by the rules because it will be a long weekend. I expect that the rangers will be coming through to check on people because long weekends tend to bring out the yahoos. Let's call them the yahoos, because it's a lot of people who are only out just to get drunk and be annoying to the rest of people who actually like to go out and have some quiet in the backwoods. So Queen Elizabeth II Wildlands, there are not very many campsites. There are only 2 of them that are close enough together that the group of friends that I am planning to go with next weekend, that we can get onto. So a couple of friends and I were planning to go on Friday and grab those 2 spots so that other friends can come and meet up with us on Saturday. Yeah, so we are hoping that that's going to happen, but because the weather, I'm really not sure if that's going to happen at all. So I'll show you those videos just right about here. Okay, so we're just approaching the next campsite along the trail. It's quite a ways in off the trail too. Kind of tricky to find. But I don't know if this one's going to be any better.
Oh my god.
Yeah, this is for a freestanding tent possibly, but not for a trekking pole tent. Oh, there's the fire pit. It's site number 41, this one. Snow is still quite deep over here. And it should get all the afternoon sun too.
There's water.
Nice view.
Ow.
Yeah, where do we get, do we have to go all the way down there to get water?
Or back the way we just came. Or
Yeah, I'm
melt the
guessing all the
snow.
way down there. Well, the snow is going to be
No, I know.
gone by the time we
I know.
come in 2 weeks. Yeah, I guess you climb all the way down there. Maybe this is Scrabble Mountain. You have to scrabble down here to get to the water. It's not flat, like it's quite an incline. That's all brush. And right here is just good old Canadian Shield. Yeah, this is just a solid rock.
This isn't even good for hammocking.
No, there's not even good trees for hammocking. Okay, so on to the next one, I suppose. Okay, so we haven't found site 42 yet, but we are we're close. The map says we're close. But this, on the way into site 42, this is actually quite nice. I mean, it's got a beautiful view. Look at that. And probably the flattest surfaces we've seen in the past 2 days. This is probably shield underneath, but it's covered in moss. Okay, so we did end up finding the other campsite, and it's not really a whole lot better other than that one flat spot that I just showed you. Okay, so there's not really trees suitable for hammocking here, and this is all just moss over shield. And we were talking to a couple who camped here last night. They said they've got a small 2-person that they put here. It's very small, but it's not like there's not really a whole lot of level space on any of these sites. Well, maybe that there, if you've got a freestanding tent. This is all mush right now, but this is rock. This is rock with moss on it, so it might be comfortable, and it might work. It might work for a freestanding tent. And then there's the fire pit and the view. Yeah. As you can see from the video from last weekend, the weather has taken a bit of a turn. Sunday last weekend, we made record highs for that day of the year. It was so warm. And today, it's not quite as warm, and the sky is kind of dull and overcast. And next weekend, it's supposed to be raining and cold for the long holiday weekend. So we're not sure if we're going to get out or not, but if we don't, then we'll just find something to do in the city. More and more things are opening up to us here in the city. We're still technically under lockdown, but now they're calling it a modified lockdown. So outdoor dining on patios is available, but only if you live in the same household, and they're actually checking IDs. So if you're a single person, you can dine with another single person. So I may get together with my youngest sister. I don't know. Anyway, sometimes trying to find a camping spot in the backcountry is not ideal, because you want a spot that's going to be as flat as possible, because you don't want to be like sliding out of your tent or lying on a rock or anything like that. Plus, you need to make sure that you're not in a divot, so that if it rains or if there's snow melt, that you're not going to end up in a puddle and have water come into your tent. There are so many things, and these 2 campsites and the one that we stayed on even, they're not exactly ideal. Now, we also have this rare, actually, I don't even know if it's rare, I'll have to check, but we have this phenomenon in Ontario called the Canadian Shield, whereas I'm not sure the percentage of the province, but a lot of the province is just rock. It's solid granite. It's not below ground, it is the ground. So trying to pitch a tent, obviously, on solid rock, not very helpful. So if you have a freestanding tent, that's a lot easier. If you have a trekking pole tent like the one that I just got, not so much. Two sites that we looked at last weekend, they are on a high spot and they're in the wide open. There's not a lot of trees. So there's nothing there to block the wind, and it was pretty windy. So if it's also going to be cold, that's not going to be a very enjoyable trip. So there's so many different things to consider when you're in the backcountry and you want to put up your tent. And even car camping, you want to have a look to see how far are you from the water source. And in a car camping campground, you're going to have like a pipe coming up out of the ground to get water from. Are you going to be camped right next to that? Then you're going to have a lot of traffic. Are you going to be camped right next to the outhouse? You're going to have a lot of traffic. You're also going to have some smells. Are you going to be close to the comfort station or the camp store? There's going to be traffic there. So you might want to consider being a little bit further away from those things if you don't want a whole bunch of traffic going right by, or sometimes even through your camp spot. Yeah, so unfortunately, I think the one that I had to book for us, which was the only one that had 3 nights in a row, I think it's close to a water pipe, which is not too bad, but people tend to wash their dishes there, even though there's a big sign that says, don't wash your dishes here. So anyway, now I hear a train coming. Let's let that go past. Well, that was a really long freight train, let me tell you. And then, of course, the wind kicked up right after that. But now I can hear the birds singing. Yeah. I woke up this morning and I could hear birds singing, which was nice because it's only just recently that the birds have been back and singing for us in the morning. Anyway, so trying to find a camp spot sometimes in Ontario, and I'm sure in other provinces and states and countries where you might have a similar phenomenon like the Canadian Shield. I don't know how far across it goes. I don't know if it just covers Ontario or into Quebec and Manitoba. It probably does. And if I can find a map of the Canadian Shield, I'll post it here. Maybe just right over my face like that, and I'll see just how much of the country the Canadian Shield covers, or how much of the province. So anyway, we did have some difficulty last weekend trying to find a perfect spot for our tents on the site that we were at, and hopefully when we go next weekend we'll be able to find a spot to put 1, 2, 3, 5 different tents for all the people who will be there. Depending what's happening, I might just take my freestanding tent instead of the trekking pole tent. Have you ever gone camping somewhere and you just cannot get a good pitch on your tent? Mine last weekend, it was pretty pathetic. For a freestanding tent, I've rarely had any difficulties. One time when I was at Bon Echo, I think, I ended up with a little bit of water in my tent because Canadian Shield got in the way. But most of the time, we don't have too although there was one time, this was hilarious. When I was a kid, so we were camping there, and my father had put up his and my mom's tent. And do you remember those big old canvas tents from the 1960s and 1970s? It was freestanding. It didn't need to be staked into the ground. The poles would hold it upright. So he had put the tent up, and it was just on Canadian Shield. Put the tent up, and a big gust of wind came, and it kind of picked up the tent, but the tent didn't kind of fly away. It kind of waddled backwards. and it was the most hilarious thing ever. We all like literally fell on the ground laughing because it was just way too funny. Have you ever had your tent fly away on you, or just kind of waddle away on you because the wind takes it away? Oh my gosh, that was funny. Another instance of trying to pitch a tent on Canadian Shield. Doesn't always work very well. So these are the perils of camping in Ontario, and I'm sure other areas of the world have similar instances. If you've ever run into something really funny like that or frustrating like that, post a comment down below and let me know. We'll share some funny stories about tents flying away. Hit the like button. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit the like button, and it really does help out my channel. Hit the subscribe button and pass it on to any of your friends who you think would probably be interested. Thanks so much. One of these days, I'm going to post a rant about leave no trace.